What's going on, everybody? C4, welcome back to the channel. Today we're here for a new Madden 23 rebuild. We're going to take some of the football news going around the world right now and apply it into a rebuild. The Houston Texans have made some noise as it relates to the NFL draft, as there are reports that the Houston Texans aren't considering a quarterback at the number 2 spot. It looks like right now, according to Vegas, that Bryce Young is going to be the favorite to land and get drafted first overall by the Carolina Panthers. And maybe the Houston Texans aren't a big fan of CJ Stroud. Maybe they don't believe in the hype surrounding Anthony Richardson. And combine that with the fact that a certain quarterback has now been named public on the trade block. Trey Lance of the San Francisco 49ers. DeMeco Ryans is the head coach of the Houston Texans, coming over from the 49ers. Do you see where I'm getting at? So I want to have a scenario where Trey Lance ends up going to the Houston Texans. We had to give up a second-round pick, and Jerry Hughes, who's a great veteran pass rusher, would be a good get for a 49ers team that isn't in a win-now process, who appears to have moved on to Brock Purdy as their new, I don't know if you could say franchise, but their new quarterback. And Trey Lance, who's only 23 years old, obviously coming off a horrific injury, which he suffered last season, where his leg pretty much snapped in half. But I mean, there's still absolutely a lot of development and growth that you could assume is going to happen with Trey Lance, and it's not going to cost either one of the first-round picks for the Houston Texans. So they could get Trey Lance, especially if DeMeco Ryans is a believer. They can hit on wherever. This is a very bad roster. They could use those other 2 first-round picks on the offensive or defensive side of the ball to build around Trey Lance. And I think this is a very interesting starting point for a rebuild. So we are going to rebuild the Houston Texans, try to bring them to a Super Bowl with one of my favorite coaches in the NFL now in DeMeco Ryans, with a brand new, hopefully franchise quarterback in Trey Lance. You know what? Kid looks pretty nice in Houston Texans colors. Here's the Texans roster going into the draft. We have made a couple transactions. Honestly, I've tried my best to get the roster where it needs to be. We got Shaq Mason, who's going to be obviously our starting right guard. I don't know he's lined up at center. I actually don't think we even have a center on the roster. They got Dalton Schultz, which I thought was a great piece of business, even though it's only a 1-year deal. Getting him over from the Dallas Cowboys, I think he's a very, very solid tight end. They got Devin Singletary into the backfield, but let's be honest, it's the Dameon Pierce show. Robert Woods, Bobby TREY is a nice veteran presence to help John Mechie, who I think is going to be an awesome player for the Texans. They got Noah Brown coming over for the Dallas Cowboys, but definitely needs some help here at outside long-term wide receiver, as you know, someone like John Mechie is likely to develop into a very nice slot wide receiver at the next level. So definitely need to get some wide receiving weapons for Trey Lance as well. You know, we could show a little bit of love to the offensive line. On the defensive side of the football, DeMeco Ryans got a lot of work to do to build this unit up. I mean, Gator buys aside, John Grenard, and he's your best pass rusher, you probably want to do a little bit better. So we can get better everywhere in the front 7, honestly. You know, maybe Harris is a freak athlete, so develop him a little bit. Christian Harris could be a special player for us. Height, weight, speed, 6'1", 226, 90 speed, 93 acceleration. Seems like a guy that DeMeco Ryans absolutely will take under his wing and elevate his game to another level. Jalen Petrie is a stud, was my favorite safety. I believe he was my #1 safety last year. Could go back to the draft. I think he was. I'll pound the table every day of the week. I was right on Jalen Petrie. I think he had 5 picks last year for the Houston Texans. They bring over Jimmy Ward from the Niners, who knows a DeMeco Ryans defense, and that is a nice safety tandem, even though Jimmy Ward only really has 2 years, so he might retire. Desmond King's a superstar. You have Derek Stingley, who's expected to take massive strides under DeMeco Ryans. So there are a little bit more longer pieces in place on the defensive side of the ball. But in general, this is a roster that needs a lot of work to become a Super Bowl contender. And it all starts with the 2023 NFL Draft. Now, knowing that we're not going to have to go quarterback, I think we just go BPA. Easy plug and play. You know DeMeco Ryans is going to be pounding the table to get more weapons on the defensive side of the ball. With question marks surrounding Jalen Carter, that just makes Will Anderson that much more of a slam dunk. He has all the tools of a borderline generational pass rusher. I think you need to support Trey Lance a little bit. Peter Skoronski, surprised he's still on the board at 12. Jordan Addison at wide receiver out of USC is another guy that's interesting. I don't think I've used him yet in a rebuild, but I think push comes to shove, the best value right now, knowing that we don't have a second-round pick, our second-round pick is Trey Lance. I think improving the offensive line here will go a long way for this team's development, and Skoronski, you know, you can play him pretty much anywhere. But we'll likely play him at right tackle and get an upgrade over Titus Howard. And he is also going to be a very nice hidden dev player. We had so many drafts. That draft took forever. And look at the talent we were able to add through the draft. Will Anderson Jr., 79 overall, might be the highest rated player in this whole draft class. He's going to be a day. You know, I'm going to make him a team captain right away. That's how damn good Will Anderson is going to be. And I know there's a little bit of a narrative. It happens every single year when there's like the clear can't miss player. Then people start to overanalyze them. Will Anderson Jr., his floor is Clowney. His floor right now, like the worst Will Anderson's going to be is Jadeveon Clowney, who was, you know, obviously didn't pan out. When that's your worst, which is still a guy that made a bunch of money in the league, you're pretty good. Skoronski, 78 overall, hidden dev at pick 12. Outstanding. You know, obviously we're going to be able to put him between him and Laremy Tunsil for this rebuild. We're going to have 2 franchise tackles. I'm not going to complain about. I got Javon Dexter at defensive tackle out of Florida. Just to add, he's going to be able to compete for starting snaps right away as a rookie. We got Juju Brents at corner out of Kansas State. Luke Whippler at center, 70 overall in the 4th round. He's likely going to be a starter for us, rookie starter at center. We got Tank Dell out of Houston. You know, I just felt like we need wide receiver help. I got him and Parker Washington, 71 and 72. Great value in the 5th round, but Tank Dell, it's a little bit of fan service, getting one of the best college players the Houston football program has produced in a very long time, and bringing him right away, he might be able to contribute. We got Darius Rush in the 6th round, another 70-plus rated player, which is nice value. And then we kind of just finished up the draft here with, yeah, nice little 70-round Lou Nichols out of Central Michigan. Very good draft. Very, very good draft. First little nugget of information is from the first preseason and almost exactly what the Texans want to see happen in real life. Bobby TREY wants to take John Mechie under his wing. Not a better guy to learn from. We're going to work on those short routes because obviously we want John Mechie to be our slot playmaker for this offense, plus 2 release, plus 2 short running. That will do. And very surprising, at the midway point of year 1, we are leading, well, 3-way tie, but technically we have whatever the tiebreakers are to be leading the AFC South with a 6-3 record. This is year 1. We are very much ahead of schedule. I was fully prepared to that be inversed in 3-6 and battling for the bottom. Like, my plan was, can we not be the 2nd worst team in the NFL? And the fact that, I mean, things could blow up, the wheels could fall off, but 6-3 at week 11 is outstanding for the Texans. Great job by D'Amico Ryans. And look at that, we have $180 million. So I actually did miss the contract extension in real life that Tunsil got. And we're going to have to pay him a F-ton of money. We got Shaq Mason here. You know what I say about your offensive lineman. You run him into the ground. So let's see if we can give him a little bit of a raise. Okay, so no one wants to buy into the rebuild. We got Dalton Schultz at tight end. Will he take this? I'll take a 4-year deal. Okay. What about you? What about you, superstar corner? You're probably going to lose your dev, but I wouldn't mind having you around for another year. 1 year, 7.5 mil. Finally! Desmond King. We have one guy that wants to stay with our squad. Outside of that, I mean, we can move on from Titus Howard because he brought in Skoronski. This might be a little Gator bias when it comes time. I think I will try to extend John Grenard. And we're definitely going to come back to the table on Shaq Mason, Dalton Schultz, and Laremy Tunsil. Even though there was a 3-way tie atop the AFC South, there's only one divisional champion, and that goes to us in year 1 with the Texans. And at least we get to find out right away, you know, who the top team is, who's a contender, who's a pretender. Getting to play the Colts right away in the wild card round. But take a look at our team. Look what I love to see. So we're running, obviously, D'Amico Ryans and bringing over a lot of the Niners staff. We're running Niners offense, Niners defense, and Dameon Pierce finishes as a top 3 runner this season. 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns. You love to see that. Take a look at the rest of the stats. Trey Lance's development obviously needs to be important. And it looks pretty good. Good start. 3,900 yards, 35 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, 64% completion percentage. He also chipped in 460 rushing yards and an additional 6 touchdowns. So, I mean, hell of a year from Trey Lance. And we all know the MVP voting in Madden weighs heavily towards quarterbacks with scrambling numbers. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him make that short list. Dameon Pierce was ridiculous, a top 3 running back in the league. I'm hopeful that he will get a dev trade increase up to a superstar as one of my favorite players in the NFL. John Mechie, the Canadian, outstanding. Great 1-2 connection with Trey Lance. 99 catches, 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns. Bobby TREY, 9-9. Tank Dell, 750 and 8. Dalton Schultz was solid as well. Just really surprising we didn't utilize the running back a whole lot. I figured putting on our playbook, you would throw the football to the running backs, but is what it is. Defensively, Denzel Perryman and Christian Harris both go over 100 tackles. Will Anderson Jr., the rookie, the X Factor, 63 tackles, 18 TF. There's your offensive, give him offensive and defensive rookie of the year. That's how damn good it was. 16.5 sacks. I love seeing Javon Dexter, 14 TFL, 7 sacks. That could be a dev trade. He's on a normal. That could be a star. Sheldon Rankins had a nice year. John Grenard was solid. Acceptable. Jalen Petrie, 3 picks, 2 from Derek Stingley, 2 from Juju Brents. I mean, you know, a lot of opportunities for young players to play and contribute early on in this rebuild. And these are going to be guys here that might hit dev traits and become long-term starters for us come year 4, year 5. Trey Lance at number 8 in the MVP rankings. Offensive player of the year goes to Nick Chubb. Defensive player of the year goes to Myles Garrett, with Will Anderson coming in at number 6. Offensive rookie of the year goes to Josh Downs. Would have been cool to maybe see Tank Dell get that award, get a free dev trait, but can't be too greedy. Will Anderson, far and away the best rookie defense. But I mean, honestly, I would have taken the trade off of, like, somehow. I mean, it would never happen, but I mean, Javon Dexter could much more utilize that dev trait than Will Anderson by winning the award. Trey Lance, number 5 for quarterback of the year. Dang, man, Dameon Pierce, 3rd leading rusher. He's coming at 6 for the running backs in his own conference. That feels a little disrespectful. Mechie coming at number 3 for the wide receivers. Shaq Mason, lineman of the year. We'll say, out of all those contracts we need to hammer out, he was the only guy that said, I want to test free agency. So, of course, he's going to go up to Superstar Dev. Maybe we'll franchise tag him or do something creative. Overpay. We have more than enough salary cap to do so. Great first year. Shooting above expectations here for the Houston Texans. I was expecting 6 wins, like maybe get around 500. I was not expecting a divisional title and everyone to play generally very well. But it is what it is. And we get a playoff victory, 17-10 over the Colts. Just kind of want to see, you know, that's a monumental victory here for this new era. But also it's DeMeco Ryans. His defense is built to play and win in the playoffs. And CJ Stroud, the man who could have been the new quarterback for the Houston Texans, they go Trey Lance, outduels him. Even though Trey Lance didn't have the best games, Dameon Pierce, you know, handled business. John Mechie had a nice game. On the defensive side, Denzel Perryman was all over the field. No sacks, no picks, just a low-scoring game, and we're going to de facto that to an outstanding DeMeco Ryans defense. This is a tough assignment, though. In the division round, we get the 13-4 cheat code Kansas City Chiefs, and in this one, I mean, we kept it close. We kept it ugly. That DeMeco Ryans defense holding the Chiefs to 17 is an absolute dub for this team going forward. 1-1 in the playoffs. We fall a little bit short, but I mean, we're so far ahead of schedule. Where is this team going to be year 3 and 4? When closing on a very nice year 1, I love seeing the Bills just kick the shit out of the Cowboys, 52-14 in the Super Bowl. But looking at the dev traits on the offensive side of the ball, Shaq Mason getting lineman of the year. Gives himself a superstar. We're going to make sure we handle business and make sure he does not hit the open market. Trey Lance, might have been a chance for him to go up dev, but he stays on a star. Dameon Pierce up to a superstar, and John Mechie up to a star dev. So plenty of growth and development on the offensive side of the ball. Same can be said for the defensive side of the ball, as Javon Dexter and Julius Brents both make the most out of the rookie campaigns, getting up to a star dev. Desmond King is an X factor somehow. Don't know how that happened, but we'll take it. Even though I much would have rather that dev trait go on, you know, maybe a Harris or a Petrie or a Stingley instead of Desmond King. Okay, so we almost had $200 million in salary cap. I'm going to spend. I went 5 for 5, and as you can see, I didn't cheese it to the extent of, I don't even have a bid on any of like the main top guys. But I'm getting a lot of players that I'm big fans of, and if I had this amount of money at my disposal, this is exactly how I would try to be the general manager. So we're going to try to get T. Higgins at wide receiver, Jalen Johnson at corner, Jordan Brooks at linebacker, Ed Oliver at D tackle, and Isaiah Simmons, who we would also, you know, actually, you know what? Get rid of Jordan Brooks. I want Isaiah Simmons to be my linebacker. I think like Isaiah Simmons, and I want to continue the development of Christian Harris. Let's go. Come on. Buy into the project. Oh, come on. Buy into the project. We got Ed Oliver and Isaiah Simmons. T. Higgins and Jalen Johnson are the holdouts. We still have firmly the top bid. All right, we got Jalen Johnson, and it looks like there's going to be a little bit of competition going into the next stage of free agency for T. Higgins. And T. Higgins signs on the dotted line. Look, we spent all that money. And we still have $97 million available. All right, we have picks 27 and 28 here in the first round. And unfortunately, like the good players, like this guy here looks very good. Kick him into D tackle. Like, it's just not positions of need. Right now, the only thing I'm kind of thinking is we got this guy here, Jaden Hooker, who looks really good. You got the Bs, you got the good combine, got the dev trait, which is what we're looking for. Because at this spot, we did so much work in free agency. I just more so want to get contingency plans in place for our older players. And Jimmy Ward is on last year of his contract. We're getting a successor at free safety and absolutely can be Jaden Hooker. But we're back on the clock here with another selection. And honestly, I mean, there's this corner looks dope. The corners look pretty good. I just don't need corners. Like right now, I have an issue of like trying to get them all on the field at the same time. But Julius Wilson does look like a true best player available. All these corners look draftable, to be completely honest with you. And of course, here we are. I want to see if we can get a future first. I mean, it's highly, highly unlikely that we can get a future first for the 28th pick. But if we can, if anyone's offering a 2025 one, Minnesota is. The Baltimore Ravens are. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the 49ers. Okay, what team sims the worst out of those teams? I'm going to say the Vikings. I'm gonna take it, honestly. As unrealistic as that is, I'm taking that future first because board kind of sucks for us right now. And then maybe again next year with multiple first-round picks, we could trade up and try to get maybe a top 5 selection that can really put this team over the top. Something's going on here. Second round, that corner's still available. All right, you want me to draft the height, weight, speed corner? Sure, I'll do it. No dev trait, but he's probably still going to be in the 70s. Able to grab the wide receiver that I scouted. Julius Huff, slot wide receiver, double A's for catching traffic. B release, not the best combine, but should be a decent player. Shout out hidden dev kicker in the 6th round. Let's go. Look at this punter. Look at this. 86 acceleration, 90 jumping, 83 speed. We got Brian Mormon 2.0. An all-time special teams draft. Hidden dev kicker, fucking, I mean, I've got a punter like that before, but you love to see it. Looking at our picks here, Jaden Hooker, 76 hidden dev. We got Julius Wilson, who I even thought about at pick 27. He was still there in the 2nd round, complete BPA. I don't even know where he fits on this team, but he's a 74. Julius Huff is 73, both those guys with normal dev, but don't you worry. 6th round, 72 hidden dev kicker. 7th round, 70 hidden dev punter with an elite skill set. I mean, that might be a superstar dev. I know they make like funny punters like this, just ridiculous. But let's go, man. Happy he's here. And here's our new look Houston Texans team going into year 2 with significant investments in free agency, bringing in T. Higgins to be our wide receiver 1. We're going to have Higgins, Tank Dell, John Mechie, Bobby Trees. We have new superstar in Damian Pierce, which should be nice. New superstar lineman in Shaq Mason. Played on the franchise tag. And the offensive line, I mean, that offensive line overall going to be one of the better offensive lines in the AFC. On the defensive side of the ball, Will Anderson, X Factor, absolute monster. I'd love to see the pairing of Dexter and Oliver be very, very nice. We're going to go Jalen Johnson stinging the outside with Desmond King in the slot. Kind of sucks for Julius Brent's development, but it's only a year. I imagine Desmond King's probably going to regress to a point where we're going to move on this offseason. A hidden dev player that I must have just simmed past this one after I made my kickers. Ronald McCord. Not really a ski. He's not going to play. He's just a rotational pass rusher. But that's a cool little freebie in terms of a draft pick. But it's going to be Isaiah Simmons and Harris as our 2 main linebackers with Petrie and Ward at safety with Hooker, our 1st round pick. Pretty much redshirting this season, just learning catching up to the speed of the NFL. But I'm optimistic that this team here shouldn't take a step back and repeat, hopefully, as divisional champions here in year 2. At the midway point of year 2, with a nice revenge regular season victory over the Kansas City Chiefs, 38-17. It puts us at 6-3, a little bit behind the Titans, who are on fire right now, but 6-3 is still in year 2 for this Texans rebuild, ahead of schedule, I think. Take a look at our contracts here. We did pick up the 5th-year option for TREY, so don't have to worry about that this offseason, but it's looking like we got some veteran players. We're going to have to decide, are they worth... Man, I probably should have tried to flip Davis Mills. Well, I mean, Desmond King, we have so much depth at corner right now. He's probably going to lose that X factor. He'll take this 1-year deal. Honestly, I'll keep him at that 1 year. Even if he regresses down to a superstar, still a nice veteran piece. Got the mentorship tag. I definitely want to keep Shaq Mason, though. This is out of all of our in-house signings, because he does have the mentorship tag. He's already taken Skoronski under his wing. So we'll get Shaq Mason locked in to a 2-year deal, so he will retire a Houston Texan. Jimmy Ward as our starter right now, but we clearly are ready to move on after drafting his replacement in the first round of the draft last season. So we're going to let him walk. That looks like a fun way to end year 2. We got the Chiefs in the wild card round. I mean, beat them in the regular season. Maybe lightning can strike twice. But a nice and impressive year. 11-6. Very much, like I said, the midway point here of season 2. Head of schedule for the Houston Texans. Looking at the leaders here. Will Anderson. I see you. 18 sacks. I see you. I see Isaiah Simmons. 6 picks. I see you. Okay, the defense. D'Amico got these guys playing. Trey Lance took a step back, though, unfortunately. But you know what? Not every rebuild is going to be whatever quarterback we have plays like an MVP all the time. 0.9 times. I mean, Trey Lance, he's going to have, we got to build a team around Trey Lance. You throw in the rushing numbers, he's always going to look fairly solid. 1,100 yards, 17 touchdowns for Dameon Pierce. That's solid. 1,100 yards, almost 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns. T. Higgins is awesome. 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns for John Mechie is also pretty freaking awesome. On the defensive side of the ball, Harris and Simmons both going over 100 tackles. 6 interceptions for Isaiah Simmons, thriving here. That's what I want to see. 18.5 sacks, Will Anderson. 12 sacks, Ed Oliver. 8 for Javon Dexter. All very, very good numbers. 4 picks, Petrie. 3 from Jalen Johnson. So we're just getting immediate return on investment. We spent a lot of money in free agency, and all of our free agent signings are absolutely fitting and going off. Joe Burrow is the MVP. And the AFC just kind of quickly going through the awards here. Okay. I don't know if we're going to have anybody. Shaq Mason back. He's just winning it. He's just winning lineman of the year. It's what he does. Okay. Yep. Actually, you know what I want to see, though? Right now, I want to go see the dev trade of my kicker and punter. I don't know if that would be unveiled yet. We are pretty good offense, so I don't know how much work our punter got. But I want to see the devs, because we hit on a couple hidden dev playmakers. Oh, damn it. Our kicker still does not have his dev trade unveiled. On the defense, the free linebacker we got was just a star. But Hooker, our safety, first-round pick, Jaden Hooker, superstar dev. So we have firmly in place our successor for Jimmy Ward on the defense. He took and learned and was the understudy of Jimmy Ward, who understands this D'Amico Ryans defense maybe more so than any other player on this defense. And Hooker's going to be able to thrive next season. Let's look at our... Come on. We don't know the devs yet. I bet they're going to be pretty good, but we got to go on this playoff run first to see. And hopefully it's a long playoff run. Hopefully it doesn't just get the door slammed in our face here in the opening round against the Chiefs. But the Chiefs are a very tough assignment to draw. And again, they beat us last year. They are a cheat code, but it was close last year. And it was close again this year. I think it's only a matter of time that we surpass them. It's going to be tough, but we're not. I mean, I was just about to gas up my defense. That was actually a pretty bad showing, but we're hanging in there. It's not like it's completely one-sided, which happens time and time again when you see the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. It's all been like one score, less than type games, and maybe we'll get them in year 3. Sipping to the Super Bowl, the Titans win the shutout, win the Super Bowl 24-0. So the pressure is on. Team within our own division has won the Super Bowl. We need to at least match that. Closing year 2 as it relates 4 dev traits on the offensive side of the ball. No dev traits up or down. Thought might have a shot at John Mechie going up to superstar, but will be too greedy. He's still developing nicely. On the defensive side of the ball, though, Ed Oliver up to a superstar dev. Isaiah Simmons up to a superstar dev. Jalen Petrie up to a X Factor. We did lose a dev trade here on our rookie, which always sucks, but because the computer drafted him, I'm not going to be too critical. We'll keep it as is. And you also have to just acknowledge the fact that our first round pick was a superstar dev safety. So this team's only going to be that much better and that much quicker to getting where we need to be, our ceiling, with all those dev traits going to year 2 to into year 3. You can't have a punter that's an S tier athlete and just make him a star dev too. Come on. Give that guy an X factor. And Bobby Trees announces his retirement. JJ Watt on the Titans? The disrespect. Can't want a retirement to go to a rival? No. It's a fairly weak free agency class, given the fact that we have $96 million, outside of getting just like the 1-year rentals, which I don't really want to do right now. I did think about my Amon-Ra St. Brown, but the fact that there's like 0 interest there. I could go Kadarius Toney. I have been stockpiling in this rebuild, especially the first free agency spot Guys that I'm big fans of, and I'm obviously a big fan of Kadarius Toney from his time at Florida. Should I just draft a wide receiver? Nah, we'll draft. We got T. Higgins as our big money. We'll have all that salary cap roll over. We're gonna have to pay Trey Lance. Make sure we have more than enough to do so. 2 first-round picks this year. They actually look like a really good looking running back, but we don't need running back. So I'm gonna continue just to try and kick picks down the road as much as I can get in 2026. That would be ideal. 2 firsts from the town. I'm not gonna take them to town like that. I would love to see a 2026 first, 2026 second. I might have to take this Patriots one. It's the most in line with. I just need as many assets next year to try to trade up if we need to. And we got it from the Giants. The Giants do sim pretty decently. All right, we'll take that one from the Patriots. Get a first and a third next year. And I think we pick at 24. And there's clearly one guy I want to get. I scouted this wide receiver. You're going to find very quickly why I scouted him. What drew me to making sure and double checking what kind of player he is. We need a wide receiver. Bobby Tree's retired. And it's not the strongest wide receiver class. We have Shaq McCree, A, deep route running, C, catching, B, catch of traffic, B, release. Now, those are really good key ratings, considering key ratings are all over the place for wide receivers. And, yeah, he's a certain type of player. Don't be normal, Dev. Let's go. Shaq McCree, 98 acceleration, 99 speed, and he had pretty damn good wide receiver stats. That is our guy. I guess we do have a linebacker spot open if we're running in our base. So we got John Rutledge here. Elite acceleration, agility, change of direction, speed. His stats, we got B pursuit, B tackle. Let's just hope that zone coverage would also be a B. He is a scheme fit for our defense. And we're just drafting freak athletes here this season. And I feel pretty good with our first 2 picks. The rating's not crazy. But I mean, really, the first 3, I simmed out after this one. But I did set my board. Briscoe was another guy. He's going to be a D tackle in our scheme. But we got 73 fullback Cheese, 71 running back in the 4th round. Briscoe is 72 normal dev. He's going to slide in to defensive tackle, which his rating actually might go up a little bit. We like to get some interior pass rush going. Let's just see if we'll be rewarded with such for the Florida State player, which he goes up to a 75. Rutledge, 70 overall hidden dev, and McCree, 79 wide. He was predicted, what, 2nd, 3rd round? Let's go. I want to see this running back, though. There was a running back that was A, everything, and ran like a 4.3. I'm going to imagine that oh, yeah, look at this guy. Alex Carmichael going to the Bills, playing with Josh Allen, 86. That's probably going to be an X-Pack. 95 speed, 97. You know, no, I'm not even going to say anything because out of just complete respect for Dameon Pierce, I wasn't looking whatsoever at him. But we talk about trading picks and trying to get generational players. And there was a definite generational player right there now in the AFC for the Bills. I mean, it almost is like I'm making this happen. There's no way it's coincidental. It is. Every year 3, FUBAR. We're 3-5. Our worst start. While our team should be, it's year 3. I almost just figured we should skip year 3. Just sim it real quick. Get from point A to point B. Rip the bayonet off. It's going to be very expensive. We have a lot of players that we want to keep in the building. First up, we're Dameon Pierce. Going to give him a 6-year deal. We have X Factor Jalen Petrie. So I wish that was something a little bit better than a red interest. But we'll go very player-friendly deal to get him locked in. We got John Mechie here. He's been a very nice slot wide receiver option for us. Get him for a 3-year deal. Get him for the remainder of the rebuild. Definitely like featuring him as much as I can. Trey Lance. Oh my God, he's probably not worth this, but this is a Trey Lance rebuild, and he's gonna make us pay to continue to have this be a Trey Lance rebuild. We got Kenyon Green. Get him for the remainder, 2 more seasons locked in. But a star dev lineman. You want to ride those guys into the ground. We got Christian Harris. We'll give him a 4-year. He's been solid. He's been consistently, 100 tackles on the season. It's probably time to move on from Desmond King, just so we can let the young players shine. What is it going to cost to get Trey Lance? He's been solid, but not necessarily $157 million good. All right, let's see if we can get him on the very player-friendly deal, which we do. He better start playing a lot better. Hey, let's just keep. At least our defense remained elite for the most part. Top 5 defense in the NFL. That's the positive. The downside is we just paid $275 million for a quarterback that struggles to throw for 30 touchdowns. And his interceptions have been creeping up. Dameon Pierce might lose his superstar. Dev. Let's see what's the dev on the McCree here. It's only a star too. We got an absolute stud of a rookie. Not the dev trait we were looking for. Defensively, I mean, Christian Harris pretty much took over the production. That, hey, you know what? If Simmons can't lose his superstar and we get a superstar in Christian Harris, that might be a little bit of a win for the defense. 12.5 sacks for Will Anderson. Yeah, just a weird year, man. It's year 3. That's all you can say. If people like literally, I mean, that's almost an excuse at this point. That's valid. It's year 3. Any success that you do get in year 3 should be just ridiculous because we know how hard and just random it is almost every single time we do it. So let's quickly move on. Forget this year ever happened. Get into year 4. The perfect way to represent just a terrible Madden Sim season is the Chiefs and Bucks in the Super Bowl. Who cares? Now let's see the damage. I'm very worried about our dev traits here. I think we're going to be hit pretty hard. Maybe not that bad. No dev traits lost on the offense. I thought Dameon Pierce was a lock to lose that superstar, but he maintained. On the defensive side of the ball, we lost Javon Dexter's star dev. We lost Isaiah Simmons' superstar. We didn't gain one on Harris, which I thought was a lock. But everything else remains the same. Could have been a lot worse. It's another free agency period where, like, there's not a lot of needle movers here. Like, I think Tariq Woolen at corner, but, like, I kind of want to develop my corner room. George Pickett's at wide receiver. But if I bring him in, it's just going to eat at the development of Mechie, who I still think can develop nicely. It's going to eat at the development of our freak wide receiver that we got in the first. So, like, it's just one of those ones where I'm not seeing one guy that's going to make us and break us in terms of being a contender or being the random year 3 underperformer. So let's just roll this salary cap in, and then if we need a panic buy, we can into year 5. So looking at the draft, I think it's time. I don't know if it's generational. It might just be very good, but we did our homework on the edge rushers. I think we could get a better partner in crime, if you will, with Will Anderson, and it looks like that's going to be Paul Carter. 6'5", 240, speed rusher out of Notre Dame, top 5 in talent. We got A tackle, A pursuit, B block shed. Athletically speaking, it's very good. Elite speed, elite acceleration. Got great get off. 40, the 3-cone, the 20-yard shuttle are exactly what you want. He's pretty much top 5 in every category. So that is the guy we're going to move up for. Let's do it. We had 2 top 10 picks. We have pick 3 and 8. So I'm thinking pick 3, a second, and a future first. That is more than fair value to get the #1 overall selection. Like, likely the Seahawks, they're projected to get a tackle anyways. He's probably going to be there for them anyways at 3. So it kind of works out fairly well for both teams. We overpaid just a little bit, but we never really used those first-round picks in the final year of the rebuild. And with a first selection at pick 1, before we're on the clock again at pick 8, we are getting ourselves a very nice pass rusher, top 5 true talent, Paul Carter. Welcome to Houston. Now we're in that awkward spot of, like, we have no holes whatsoever. The center's the only spot that, like, our guy has somewhat limited upside. This is not an amazing home run pick by any means. I wish we had a little bit more scouting. A, impact, B, pass block. It looks good enough. Like, he's a first-round center. Those guys are usually 74, 75 in that range. If it pulls a dev, it's that much better, which he does. But this is an absolute luxury pick. There was no other options for us in the first round. So taking a look at our draft recap. 2 top picks, and we hit on them. Hayth French, a center, 76, which is, about the range that I thought he was going to be anyways. But he is a hit dev and will be a day 1 starter for us as an upgrade there. Higher ceiling upgrade at center. But this is the big get. I mean, I didn't think it was generational. So he's got to be in that bubble. 78 is, like, really the cutoff of, like, all right. Anything lower than that, if I'm trading multiple first-round picks, I'm going to feel pretty disappointed. Would have been nice to be generational, but we already got our generational pass rusher in Will Anderson. All this guy needs to be is a complementary option that can also get double-digit sacks, and with his skill set, I don't think that's out of the question. So let's make him our right defensive end. See if he can get us a little bit more production than what we were getting at a John Grenard, which, John Grenard, he's been solid, but he's been, and yeah, that nice, gets a little bump up there to a 79 overall. And we're back on track. Year 4 just continues to be an absolute mystery. We are 6-1 at the halfway point of year number 4. and we're playing up to our level. We actually have a weekly award winner coming off that Week 7 victory, and it is Will Anderson, 7 tackles, 3 sacks. What a monster. Holy, the Vikings quarterback had 7 passing touchdowns. Speaking of the Vikings, I asked on Twitter, Trey Lance is on the trade block right now. Like, what would be a fun team? And Houston was, I would say, the most popular, but there was more than enough Minnesota Vikings fans saying that, let's, do a rebuild with Trey Lance going on the Vikings. I'm going to do that next. We're going to have a double, it's going to be the Trey Lance week here on the channel. So that'll probably come out, what day's today? Wednesday? It'll probably be a Friday, maybe Saturday. Obviously space them out a little bit. Anyways, let's take a look at our salary cap here for in-house signings. Guys, we want to go the full years of the rebuild. I'm at a spot where I really don't want to overpay for guys that don't want to be here. But we'll start with Stingley. I want to keep him here. Keep the development rolling along. We'll get him locked in. Shaq Mason, just as long as he's not going to retire, let's just run him into the ground. We'll give him a player-friendly deal. And we got $30 million available. Right now, like Dexter's... the fact that he's interested in staying, and then he's itching the bar screen, and he hits us with he wants more money. Probably move on from everybody else. I do like Julius Brents if he takes a player-friendly deal. Well, those guys, they can F themselves. They can go F themselves. They don't want to be a part of this project. Just utterly dominant. Number 6 offense, number 1 defense. I knew and was kind of hoping at some point during this rebuild, D'Amico Ryans would have his defense playing like an elite unit. That's exactly what we did here this season. Taking a look at the stats. Will Anderson, I see 19 sacks right there. Thing of beauty. How about everyone else? Trey Lance, first year going over 30 passing touchdowns, I think since year 1 anyways. Good year for Trey Lance. Paid him like a franchise quarterback. Played like a franchise quarterback if you throw in the rushing numbers. Good bounce back here from Dameon Pierce. 1,400 yards, 16 touchdowns. No 1,000-yard receivers is a little bit surprising. Especially what? I'd like to see McCree do more than that. Isaiah Simmons, great season. Will Anderson, phenomenal season. Haven't seen a pass rusher like this since J.J. Watt was in town. 21 TFLs, 19.5 sacks, 11.5 sacks for Dexter, who, we got to re-sign him. Paul Carter, not generational, but pretty good. Superstar pass rusher on the other side of Will Anderson. So as long as he builds off of that into year 2 and him and Will Anderson can really just pin their ears back and destroy opposing teams next year in year 5. I'm not saying if we don't go on and win the Super Bowl this season. That would be ideal. But I'm very happy with what we traded. Landing a superstar pass rusher is an absolute dub. Alex Sheed of the Vikings is the MVP. He's the guy we saw through 7 touchdowns earlier in the year. Quickly looking for some Houston Texans in terms of award winners. Wow. Okay. Disrespect of the number 1 seed. The disrespect is real. Not one guy on the defensive side of the ball. I see how it is. First round of the playoffs. We got the Buffalo Bills. They're a solid team. And even though we had a weekly award winner, Josh Allen cooked us. Number 1 defense in the NFL, and Josh Allen goes for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, Madden 23. Ratings don't matter. Go fuck yourself. That should be the tagline for franchise mode. And as year 4 comes to a close, we had our hidden dev center, which popped as a star, but he's up to an 81 overall, which is awesome. On the defensive side of the football, Isaiah Simmons back up to a superstar dev. He's kind of yo-yoed between star and superstar. No other dev traits up or down, I don't think. Was Ed Oliver superstar? Maybe, but either way, nothing too drastic on either side of the football. Our free agency after a really outstanding season. I don't know how he actually didn't get off normal up to a star dev. We're going to re-sign Javon Dexter. And for our year 5 free agency, kind of a bust. We've kind of been keeping our salary cap, letting it roll over with the idea that we can go gung-ho here in year 5. It's just, there's not a lot there. Zach Harrison, we could, I guess, but it's just, I don't want to just stomp on the feet of what we've built on this team. The only thing we need is a corner 3, and that's exactly what we got. A nice slot corner here in Jeff Okudah, 82 superstar. And hopefully that's the missing piece for us to go on a playoff run and win a Super Bowl in year 5. And we sold this draft to have, obviously, the edge rusher last year. Still a good haul. I made this pick here in the second round. Roy Booth, hidden dev tight end to come in. I don't know, maybe we'll get him involved behind Dalton Schultz here in year 5. Unlikely. All right, here's our final project. Ready to submit our work, if you will, of our Trey Lance Houston Texans rebuild. And again, it's refreshing in a way that, like, not every rebuild needs to have your juggernaut X-Factor quarterback. Trey Lance has been solid. And I think seeing, him kind of hit his ceiling here, it could be a scheme thing, could be the Texans. We never really had an S-tier receiving core. And redoing this again and seeing maybe Trey Lance with Justin Jefferson in Minnesota, I definitely want to explore that avenue. But he's been solid. The rest of the offense has been doing the damn thing. T. Higgins, Damian Pierce, we got Mechie and McCree, Dalton Schultz still here doing the thing, Skoronski, Mason Green, and Tunsil. So we've pretty much had the whole offensive line here since day one. Defensively is where we've, spent a little bit of money and invested a lot in the draft. Will Anderson Jr. has been phenomenal. Carter, another edge rusher that we drafted, has been great. Hooker, drafted. He's been awesome. Jalen Petrie developed nicely. Derek Stingley's been solid. And then just, obviously sprinkling in some big money free agent signings. Isaiah Simmons, Ed Oliver, Jalen Johnson, now Jeff Okudah. Like, number one defense got somehow better. Let's just hope the offense can hold their end of the bargain. And let's go get that Super Bowl. Dude, what? No fucking way. Didn't even make the playoffs. 10-7. Bad for a 91. What? 28th passing offense. If you ever thought we were coming to predict, too many, you've won too many Super Bowls, C4. You go on too many runs late in the here you go. Here's a nice little. Trey Lance played well. 4,100 yards, 37 touchdowns to 5 picks. Run game was not great. I mean, we had 3,000-yard receivers. Defensively, Will Anderson, 20 sacks. Picks were okay. I can't get too, it's one of those things where, so frustrating. There's no realm that I have the number one, I don't know. There's two ways of thinking about it. The one is, the reality of, I'm a 91 overall team. My team should be making the playoffs. There's no way a 91 offense should be 17th in the NFL. There's no way a 91 defense should be 14th, especially a year after being the number one defense in the NFL. Nothing has changed. What happened? And then the other side, these are your palate cleansers. These are the ones where it's if I win 3 Super Bowls in my last 3 rebuilds, when you have the ones where you just fucking don't make the playoffs, year 5, and you don't win a Super Bowl at any point, it makes you, maybe appreciate when you win a Super Bowl. It just sucks for video. Oh, come on, man. Bad ending. Looking at the stats, I mean, it was pretty close on Twitter as to, who do I rebuild with Trey Lance, be it the Texans or the Vikings. And we'll get the bad taste of our mouths and rerun this back here with the Vikings. Take a look at our career stats. Trey Lance carved out a nice career, though. Hopefully, I'll make just screenshot this so we can use it as a comparison in the Vikings after 5 years, and he might be better in Minnesota. You got Dalvin Cook, who Alex in real life might actually get released, but throwing to Justin Jefferson, I'm going to assume that the Vikings are going to have a little bit better sim offense than the Houston Texans. But through 5 years here with Houston, because you can't really even consider his stats with the Niners, doesn't really have any. 19,000 yards passing, 166 touchdowns to 51 picks. Also had 2,800 yards rushing and 24 rushing touchdowns. It's pretty, and he's been solid. He's been a borderline, if not for sure, top 10 quarterback, but probably closer to 10 than he would be 5. Damian Pierce on 7,000 yards rushing, 76 tutties. John Mechie, 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. He's really the only guy that's been here the whole time. On the defensive side, Harris up to 731. He has 9 interceptions. We got 87 sacks on 83 TFLs for Will Anderson. What a monster. I mean, this is a reality for the Houston Texans. There is a shot that if you decide and DeMeco Ryans decides and knows from his time in San Francisco that Trey Lance, he grades Trey Lance out the same as everybody not named Bryce Young in this year's draft. Making that trade, keeping your first round picks, getting Will Anderson instead, this could very well be a reality where you have like the best pass rusher, best young pass rusher in the NFL. Javon Dexter, 37 sacks, also pretty cool. Jalen Petrie finishes with 13 interceptions. He was solid. I mean, Stingley was solid as well. Stingley might have been a guy that I hoped could have, like, you know, like a rocket developed, superstar dev, all that crazy stuff, living up to the draft pick that he was. But, I mean, still 88 overall when all is said and done. He's a damn good corner. But it sucks. You need to have it. You know, you need to have your losses so that the wins feel better. And maybe that's what this is here today. So thank you guys very much for tuning in to today's rebuild. We will be back before too long, running it back with Trey Lance, exploring the scenario if he got traded to the Minnesota Vikings. We're going to offer probably similar compensation, but it's going to be pretty fun moving on from Kirk Cousins and seeing if Trey Lance, knowing kind of the pace has been set, what he can do as a full-fledged starter with Houston, just how things can alter in Minnesota, especially throwing the ball to Justin freaking Jefferson. But that'll wait for later in the week. Make sure you stay tuned to your sub boxes for that one. But that'll do for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If it's your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. Until next time, it's your boy C4 saying peace out. Love you. Have a good one.